Have you ever wondered why certain decisions feel so difficult to make? Not the obvious ones, but the moments where the answer should be clear. You understand the strategy. You've studied the information. You know what the rational choice should be. And yet, something changes. Emotion creeps in. Doubt appears. Impulse replaces patience. And suddenly, a decision that seemed simple becomes complicated. This happens everywhere in life, but it becomes especially visible in financial decisions. Why do intelligent investors panic during downturns? Why do others become overconfident during market growth? Why can two people study the same information and still arrive at completely different conclusions? The answer is rarely a lack of knowledge. More often, it lies somewhere deeper. Because beneath every decision we make is a biological system constantly influencing how we perceive risk, process information, and respond to uncertainty. That system is the nervous system, and once you understand how it works, you begin to see decision-making and financial behavior in a completely different way. Most people try to improve their finances by studying strategy, markets, investment vehicles, business models, but very few people study the biological system making those decisions. Every financial decision begins in the body. Before a trade is executed, before a negotiation begins, before money is spent, your physiology shifts, heart rate changes, breathing patterns adjust, hormones move through the bloodstream, your nervous system changes state. These changes influence perception. They influence how much risk feels tolerable. They influence whether you act patiently or impulsively. Financial outcomes are often the downstream result of nervous system regulation. The human body operates through rhythm. Electrical signals move through the heart. Waves of neural activity move through the brain. Thousands of neurons fire together in coordinated patterns. Inventor and researcher Itzhak Bentov described the human organism as an oscillatory system, a living network of interacting biological rhythms. Modern neuroscience continues to confirm this view. Brain activity occurs in measurable frequencies. Heart rhythms affect emotional stability. Neural synchronization affects perception and cognition. When these systems operate in harmony, something important happens. Coherence increases. The nervous system becomes more stable. Thinking becomes clearer. Impulse control improves. Strategic reasoning strengthens. But when the system becomes dysregulated, the opposite occurs. Stress narrows perception. Fear exaggerates risk. Excitement creates overconfidence. Many financial mistakes happen in these moments, not because people lack information, but because their nervous system is unstable. The body has two primary modes of operation. The sympathetic system prepares the body for action. Heart rate increases. Adrenaline rises. Attention narrows toward immediate threats. This system evolved for survival. But survival mode is not designed for long-term planning. Strategic thinking requires something different. It requires the prefrontal cortex, the region responsible for planning, risk evaluation, delayed gratification, and impulse control. Chronic stress weakens this system. When stress dominates the nervous system, emotional circuits take control. This is why intelligent people still make irrational financial decisions, not because they lack knowledge, but because their physiology overrides their strategy. Consider common financial behavior: impulse purchases, panic selling during market downturns, overconfidence during bull markets, revenge investing after losses. These behaviors are often treated as knowledge problems, but more often, they are regulation problems. When the nervous system becomes unstable, risk tolerance fluctuates, time horizons shrink, emotional bias increases. Two people can possess the same financial knowledge and still produce completely different outcomes. One remains regulated, the other reacts emotionally. Over time, that difference compounds, and compounded behavior shapes financial destiny. Fortunately, self-mastery can be trained. The first step is controlling cognitive input. High stimulation environments create unstable dopamine cycles, and unstable dopamine drives impulsive decisions. Reducing unnecessary stimulation restores mental clarity. The second step is breathing. Slow nasal breathing activates the parasympathetic nervous system. Longer exhales reduce heart rate. Lower heart rate stabilizes cognition. The third step is delay. Introducing a pause between emotion and action dramatically improves decision quality. Time weakens impulsive reactions. The fourth step is externalizing thought. Writing forces structured reasoning, and structured reasoning reduces emotional distortion. The fifth step is systems. Predefined rules remove emotional interference. Systems outperform moment-to-moment judgment. Calm individuals are often misunderstood. They are not passive. They are neurologically efficient. They conserve cognitive energy. They maintain perspective. They sustain long-term strategy. Financial markets reward patience. Business rewards consistency. Negotiation rewards composure. The person who can regulate their internal state maintains advantage under pressure. Self-mastery is not mystical. It is measurable, and it is foundational to wealth. Physiological stability precedes financial stability. Always. Most people search for better strategies, but strategy alone is not enough. The real advantage lies deeper. Master the nervous system, and financial precision becomes sustainable. Over time, small differences in behavior compound. A single impulsive decision may not seem significant, but repeated emotional reactions create patterns, and patterns shape outcomes. A regulated individual may pause before acting. They evaluate information. They consider long-term consequences. And they maintain discipline even when conditions become uncertain. This behavior may appear slow compared to emotional reactions, but over long time horizons, it produces stability. And stability produces consistency. Consistency produces growth. In this way, the ability to regulate the nervous system becomes one of the most powerful advantages an individual can develop, not only for financial outcomes, but for decision-making in every domain of life. Another factor influencing financial decision-making is attention. Modern environments are filled with constant stimulation, news alerts, social media, market commentary, endless streams of financial predictions. Every one of these inputs competes for cognitive resources. But the human brain has limited processing capacity. When attention becomes fragmented, decision quality declines. Impulsive reactions become more likely. Short-term thinking replaces long-term strategy. The nervous system becomes overstimulated. And overstimulation destabilizes regulation. This is why disciplined investors often reduce noise. They do not watch every market movement. They do not react to every headline. Instead, they create environments that support clear thinking. Silence becomes an advantage. Focus becomes an asset, and clarity becomes possible. To understand why regulation matters so much, we need to look at what stress actually does to the brain. When the body experiences stress, the brain shifts into survival mode. The amygdala becomes more active. Stress hormones like cortisol and adrenaline increase. Heart rate accelerates. Breathing becomes shallow. This state evolved to help humans respond to immediate danger. But financial decision-making is rarely about immediate danger. It is about long-term judgment. And long-term judgment requires something different. It requires the prefrontal cortex. The prefrontal cortex is responsible for planning, evaluating risk, delaying gratification, and maintaining perspective over time. When stress increases, activity in this region decreases. In simple terms, the more stressed the nervous system becomes, the less capable the brain is of making strategic decisions. This is why moments of market volatility often lead to irrational behavior. Investors panic sell during downturns, others become euphoric during rapid market growth. Neither reaction is rooted in careful analysis. Both are driven by nervous system state. The biology of stress is quietly influencing financial outcomes, and most people are completely unaware of it. Understanding markets is not only a matter of information, it is a matter of state. The state of attention, the state of emotion, and the state of the nervous system guiding every decision. When that system becomes unstable, judgment follows. But when it becomes regulated, something different emerges: clarity, patience, and the ability to act deliberately when others react impulsively. That quiet advantage compounds over time, not only in markets, but in every domain that rewards discipline and perspective. If this exploration of biology and decision-making resonates with you, consider liking the video so others can discover it as well. And if you're interested in understanding the deeper systems behind strategy, subscribe to The Alchemist's Ledger. There is much more to explore. Until next time, master the mind, regulate the system, and the strategy will follow. This is The Alchemist's Ledger.